In this video, I'm not going to draw anything. I'm going to talk about um, uh, 3D, three-dimensional drawing and why we needed to learn shadow and shading and everything. So what's the purpose to learning that? Um, I have this made a video before. You can see in my channel, and this is a thing I drew, and one with just lines. See, just line without shadow. You can still see a shape of it, right? You can still see the, the shape of this, but it doesn't look real, like three-dimensional, right? Um, it just draw the shape with lines. So this one, if you watch the video, I never did any lines. I just start with a charcoal, just shade different shape of the shadow. See, that's a shape of shadow. So I shade that shape, just like that. Shade it. I didn't draw any line and fill it in. I just shade the shadow all the way to here and here and here and even here. This is all shape of the shadow and casting shadow. I didn't draw any line to fill in the shadow. I just literally just drew the shadow. Then turn out and it's a shape, right? And a three-dimensional shape. So that's why we are learning drawing three-dimensional, and you can see everything is not made by lines. Everything is like a solid thing, right? So they have a shape. The reason you can see the shape because the dark and the light, the dark light of the shape. Even the little line here, you think that's a line. No, that's not a line. That's a tiny bit of shadow. That's a very, very skinny casting shadow from this to here, right? Very tiny, skinny shadow. So everything made by shadow. Like some part, like this part, because it's so bright, you can't see any shadow. That's why you cannot see the shape inside, right? And don't draw if you can't see it, don't draw it. And so this and this part is exactly the same, right? But this part, you cannot see anything because it doesn't have a light and dark contrast. It's too bright. But if you look on this part, it doesn't have the bright light, so you can see the shadow now. Now after you see the shadow, now you can see the shape of it, because this goes up and down, up and down. The inside, the downside going to be has shadow, the top side is lighter, so forth, right? This is the same. You can see you can see a very clear shape here, but you can't really see it here because the value is very close. That this part, because the light is shine from here, so that's brighter than here. That's why you can see more sharp lines here, sharp shapes there. So yeah, so that's basically why you are learning shade, because if you want to draw something real, it has to be three-dimensional, okay? You can't just paint with lines, right? See this painting, you cannot see any lines. See, you say, oh my God, Where's the nose go? You don't feel like she missing a nose part here, do you? No, right? You still see she has a nose, but because the value is so similar, you cannot have a defined shape here. But you still don't thinking she's missing a nose, right? Part of the nose. Everything else is not drawn by line, right? It's drawn by the shadow. It's those block of the shape of the shadow, then made her face. That's why we are learning shading. See the same thing, egg. Okay, if I'm going to do this, if I'm put the egg like this, if I'm just erase all the shadows, erase all the shadows. Do you think this still looks like a three-dimensional egg? No, right? The shadow give a two-dimensional paper a three-dimensional. So that's a what? That's just an oval, right? So after you shade the shadow, it becomes three-dimensional. That's why we are learning to shade shadow. So you needed to, same as this, right? You needed to understand why you are shading, not just like a copying. Oh, that part is dark, I'm just doing dark. That part is light, I'm just shading light. You have to know why you are doing it, right? All the shading is according to the light source, right? You understand where your light come from. Say the lights come from, the lights almost always come from right somehow. And this too is come from the left side. The other part is other one is from the right side. You can tell, right? So this video just tell you like why you have to learn shading, right? So you learn shading is you want to drawing something to three-dimensional, especially when later on you are start painting. You're not going to paint with lines, right? You're going to paint with all those shadows. Okay, this is the first video. I just wanted you to know when you shade, every shade they have a purpose on this. You want to make a shape of it, right? So not just copying it. Don't know why you are doing that. Then later on video, I'm going to teach you all about the shading and value, like what is value, how you're going to shade. There's a process too, and there's things you needed to learn, and that's like kind of when you look at things you'll say, oh yeah, that's a core shadow, oh that's a reflection, oh that's a casting shadow. Is just those simple things, but you have to remember because the light is, every light is different. So if, and just like one egg, if a different light, the shadow's going to go to different place, different shape. Okay, so this video just tell you why you need to learn shading.